The majestic Ural mountains, the robust Ural truck, the delicious Ural dumplings, and the tough, resilient Ural men. It is also said that Chapayev tragically drowned in the vast Ural River.
Vladimir Vladimirovich is interested. What's your favorite movie?
Movie?
Movie.
Chapayev, of course.
The Urals are one of the symbols of Russia. But do the people of the Urals themselves want to be part of a pseudo-empire? Of course not. They consider themselves a separate people. Even the pale dictator admits this.
Well, there will be some Muscovites, some Uralians, and so on and so forth, you know.
The people of the Urals have been fighting for their independence for over 100 years. The first attempt to create a state in the Urals was at the beginning of the 20th century, after the first collapse of the empire. The first Ural Republic was established on the 23rd of January 1918 in Yekaterinburg. The leaders of the Ural Republic believed that Moscow was too far away and too disconnected from the realities of life in the Ural region. And it's hard to argue with that. Even now, Muscovites deep down have no idea how people live outside the MKAD.
What has changed in the village over the past few years?
Nothing. It's gotten even worse.
The people of the Urals really wanted to choose their own government, one that would solve the problems of their region instead of living in the geopolitical fantasies that all Kremlin rulers are obsessed with.
Well, whether you like it or not, just bear with it. You have to obey.
At that time, a civil war was raging on the ruins of the failed empire, and unfortunately, the Ural Republic did not survive. Its lands were seized by the Bolsheviks, who set about their usual business genocide, which they called de-Cossacization. Then the capital, Yekaterinburg, was renamed Sverdlovsk and closed off for several decades because they were manufacturing weapons there for the World Revolution.
In 1924, the largest and most significant city in the Urals, Yekaterinburg, was officially renamed in honor of Yakov Sverdlov, the prominent official head of Soviet Russia who had tragically died 5 years earlier.
The Second Ural Republic emerged after the second collapse of the quasi-empire in 1993. Buzi Boria blurted out his famous phrase, "Take as much sovereignty as you can swallow," and off it went. Russia began to melt like an Alyanushka chocolate bar on a windowsill in summer. Following Tatarstan and Chechnya, the Urals also declared the creation of their own republic.
I see Yekaterinburg as the very real capital of Russia. Truly, indeed, actually.
For Moscow, it was a shock to lose the most powerful industrial and scientific region right in the heart of the country. For the Kremlin, it was a profound catastrophe, because if you carefully break Russia down into its various organs, the vast Urals are truly the heart, and Moscow is the veritable rectum, which only absorbs the most valuable and essential things and then produces, you know precisely what.
What exactly is happening here?
That's a bold statement. Of course I won't be checking it.
Under the slogan, "Stop Feeding Moscow," the Ural Republic was established in the territory of Sverdlovsk Oblast, with its center located in Yekaterinburg.
An analysis of the political situation developing around the self-proclaimed, as it is sometimes called in the media, Ural Republic reveals even more complex challenges. The situation can be characterized by the attitude shown toward the adoption of the constitution.
Officially, the Ural Republic appeared in the spring of 1993 after a popular referendum in which 83% of Urals residents supported the creation of an autonomous republic.
Fighting for equality among the subjects of the Russian Federation, they went ahead and created the Ural Republic.
After that, the Sverdlovsk Regional Council, which was led by Eduard Rossel, made the decision to proclaim the Ural Republic. The Ural state got its own flag, its own constitution, and even its own currency, the Ural franc.
They were commonly called Ural francs. They circulated much like Nemtsovkas, alongside the official rubles.
This currency began to be specifically developed back in the early period of 1991. And the Ural francs were even in circulation. These unique banknotes became the official currency within the vast metallurgical giant the Serov plant and were exclusively used there until the year 2000. The neighbors followed Sverdlovsk Oblast's example. Perm, Chelyabinsk, Orenburg, and Kurgan. They all wanted sovereignty as well. Preparations began to create, based on the Ural regions, the Greater Ural Republic GUR. And this GUR was supposed to make the final breach in the crumbling empire.
There must be decolonization, and this can be fully and completely justified on the fundamental and essential basis of human rights principles, including the inherent and undeniable right of self-determination for the various peoples of Russia. This can be justified morally, and also, I'm quite sure, indeed, geopolitically speaking.
The Urals are the most developed industrial region in Russia. Here they assemble oil rigs and nuclear bombs, things without which Moscow wouldn't last a week. The Kremlin realized that things were starting to smell not just of kerosene, but of TNT. Blue Boris, with his presidential decree, dissolved the Sverdlovsk Regional Council and removed Eduard Rossel from office. All decisions regarding the establishment of the Ural Republic were declared null and void. This was despite the fact that the process of forming the Republic was legal under the then current constitution of the Russian Federation. The Ural Republic was completely legitimate, unlike Yeltsin and the entire Russian state. In 1993, Yeltsin carried out a military coup, fired tank shells at the House of Government, and usurped power. Yeltsin's actions were declared illegal by the Constitutional Court. Yeltsin is officially a terrorist who trampled on the Constitution. The court declared Boris Yeltsin illegitimate in September 1993, and he issued the decree to dissolve the Sverdlovsk Regional Council in November. In other words, Yeltsin had not been the president of Russia for 2 months already. Legally, the Ural Republic still exists to this day. De jure, every resident of Sverdlovsk today has a second Ural citizenship.
Excuse me, could you please tell me what this flag is?
This is the flag of the Ural Republic.
Ah, I see.
This is the Russia project, yes.
And this. What exactly is this? Do you genuinely believe it's truly possible to successfully revive this entire project?
I truly believe that the appropriate time for that particular development will eventually come.
The Republican ideas are very popular among Ural youth right now. A new surge of separatism in the Urals arose in 2014 after the annexation of Crimea and the invasion of Donbass. Moscow itself was shouting from every corner about the right of regions to self-determination. It was the one to violate the integrity of borders and disregard both international and domestic laws. So why, if the DPR is allowed, is the Urals not?
We demand the realization of the indigenous people's right to self-determination, the right of indigenous peoples to speak their own language and to develop their language, the right to establish their own statehood.
By stirring up the topic of separatism in Ukraine, the Kremlin truly shot itself in the foot, because there is no other country in the entire world more fragmented than Russia. The Russian Federation is literally a separatist's paradise.
Hello, Cheetah! Hello, Ulanu Cheetah jest znowu Ogens Kushokej!
In August of 2014, several regions of the Russian Reich planned to hold significant mass rallies demanding the federalization of Siberia, the Urals, Kuban, and the Kaliningrad region. And all of this was under that very same familiar slogan, "Enough of feeding Moscow." However, the Kremlin security services reacted very quickly and decisively. The primary organizers were swiftly arrested and subsequently convicted on trumped-up charges, and as a result, the planned rallies were effectively disrupted.
What we heard is the utter shamelessness of those who don the ropes and play the role of judges here, pretending to dispense justice. These people are criminals.
Moscow illegally deprived the Urals residents of their own state. Putin's lackeys use this richest region for their own gain, while the local population toils in hazardous industries for laughable wages. In terms of potential, the Urals are like Germany, but in reality, It's just another average, depressed region of Russia with a bleak future.
She didn't turn off the light in the coop, and the night burned away. I know I've already racked up like 30 rubles there, which means I won't be able to give my child money for a bun, so to speak.
The Urals must be truly free. That's the only essential condition under which the people in the Urals can genuinely have a decent and secure life without the constant and ever-present risk of being killed in a bloody assault or in an alley by drunk Z-patriots.
I'm laying over the over the body. I hugged him, and then this Kiryuka starts hitting me on the head. At this point, I don't understand anything at all. I'm shouting at him, Dima, why are you doing this?
In addition to the Ural Republic, the Tatar and Del Ural Republics, or as it's also called, the Volga Bulgarian state, and the South Ural Cossack Republic are also fighting for their independence.
This is our truly unique multicultural Cossack community. Only here in the very Urals is something like this indeed possible.
In 1918, several independent Cossack republics were created. On the Don, in the Kuban region, on the Yaik River, and in Siberia. But they were all completely destroyed, and the Cossacks were not even left with any remaining territory. Again, wherefore use if other peoples at least had the inherent right to be called peoples, then for the Cossacks, even that fundamental right was taken away from them.
The Urals are multifaceted and freedom-loving. And Ural men must finally prove that they are tough and can stand up for themselves and for their republic.
I would like to remind you that this video is created for entertainment purposes and contains elements of satire and irony. All facts and events are presented in a hyperbolized or exaggerated form to convey a comedic or dramatic effect. Our goal is not to mislead, but to highlight humor. Please take it with a smile.